A sports school in Leipzig, just weeks ahead of the opening salvos of the Women's Football World Championship. This is by far the most secretive team at the tournament. They're hardly seen outside the stadiums. Handlers have given us special permission, a 2-hour visit. The surveillance is visible. Security teams watch the players' every move. All invitations to social functions have been rejected. The team members prefer their own company. In the evening, a first tentative overture. North Korean head coach Kwang Min gives us a few minutes of his time. The discussion turns quickly to the relationship between sports and politics.
Our interest in soccer is less political in nature. It's much more about honing the ability of our players, to give them the tools to beat the opposing side, and to do it in the spirit of sports and fair play. There are absolutely no political goals involved.
Just a few days later, fans and experts alike are curious to see how North Korea will perform against the world's elite. The youngest team in this tournament is also seen as a dark horse favorite. But no one really knows that much about them. The nation they represent remains a mystery. Shortly before the Women's World Cup got underway, we were given a rare opportunity to visit this most puzzling and enigmatic country.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have just arrived.
We've come to North Korea to have a look at its sports world. First stop, the capital, Pyongyang. It took 2 years for us to secure shooting permits from the authorities here. One of the first things travelers see on arrival is a portrait of the founder of the People's Republic, Kim Il-sung. As soon as we arrive, we're treated to the special attention all foreign visitors receive in this isolated nation. 3 men meet us in the terminal. 2 of them speak fluent German. They're our minders, and they won't let us out of their sight for the next 6 days. Security personnel collect our mobile phones. They tell us we'll get them back when we leave. Our isolation begins immediately. We're taken to a hotel far outside the city center. It caters almost exclusively to foreigners. We cannot leave the complex without our minders. Pyongyang is home to 3 million people and is the capital of the world's only surviving Stalinist state. Kim Il-sung founded it in 1948. After he died in 1994, he was succeeded by his son, Kim Jong-il. First, we're driven to the North Korean Football Association's training grounds. We're told that, apart from official events, this is the first time a German camera team has been permitted to tape athletes in North Korea. We had to apply long in advance for every item on our schedule. But our visit indicates the North Korean authorities are willing to open the door a crack. A song called "Women Are Flowers" plays over the loudspeakers. The U-20 national team is training on artificial turf. The full team was already touring Europe in preparation for the Women's World Cup. The women's side is an advertisement for North Korean sports. They've won the Asian Championships 3 times, and they're ranked 8th in the world. World Soccer's governing body, FIFA, estimates 100,000 women and girls play football in North Korea. 10 teams play in the country's top women's league. North Korean youth teams have a strong reputation. The young North Korean women have won 2 World Cups. There seems to be no shortage of talent. We'd like to interview a few of the young players here. We can't choose the ones we'd like to interview. Our minders do that for us. They also interpret. We ask 17-year-old Kim Gong-jong how she copes against the older player.
It's true I'm still young, but I've been coached systematically from the beginning. So I'm at the same technical level as the older ones, and I play courageously and confidently. I score lots of goals, which is why I've already won a prize.
Come together. Close the gaps, shouts the coach. At the same time, the slogan on the scoreboard says, "Sparks of fire, fast as lightning, in one breath." Military propaganda videos play non-stop through the session. We're also slated to talk to the captain. We're most interested in how she sees her role on the team.
I play in defense. That means I can't make a single mistake during the match. I'm aware of that. So every match, I want to play like a soldier defending the honor of the nation. And I want to turn my body into a human bomb that defends the goal. I lead matches with this determination and sense of duty.
All the team members live at a boarding school. The first training session starts at 6:30 in the morning. Strength training and jogging before breakfast. More sessions are spread throughout the day. Every effort is made to ensure success, and the state rewards its champions.
The state presents us with a signed watch after every international victory, a watch signed by our General Kim Jong-il. He provides us with everything. Apartments, health and pension insurance, everything. A lot is invested in this way.
We also learned that winning in football in 2011 is an important goal for the North Korean state. The coach tells us that, along with defending the country's leaders are also interested in football. Massive stadiums have been built, including the May 1st Stadium straddling the Taedong River. It's said to be the world's largest, a tribute to the workers of the world. We're not allowed to look inside. The stadium is heavily guarded. But our minders tell us that 150,000 people take part in sports and cultural events here. Nearby, the doors of the North Korean Football Association are open to us. One of the leading functionaries greets us. Director Kim Yong-sik says he's eager for the Women's World Cup to begin and happy that we're paying a visit. The official photographer is also on hand.
Our coach and players are focused on winning the World Cup in Germany and to bring joy to our general. We've been preparing with this in mind. The team spirit is at fever pitch and we're very optimistic about the result.
As we leave the Football Association headquarters, we're told to put on blue armbands that identify us as journalists. Our handlers say it's a must for moving about in Pyongyang. Our driver, Mr. Gang, has tuned into his favorite music. He takes us on the official tourist route through Pyongyang. We have the feeling of being driven around in circles. Much of the city is off limits to visitors. And much of the city center is a no-go zone for the residents as well, sealed off by concrete walls and barbed wire. There's no sign of many otherwise familiar aspects of big city life. No rush hour traffic, no sidewalk cafes, no cinemas. And political propaganda takes the place of neon advertising. North Korea expects its people to live their lives for the collective good and to defend the Democratic People's Republic. By force of arms, if need be. The entire society is infused with ideology. Sports is a part of that. A visit to one of the most successful sports academies in the country has been arranged for us, the elite Morabong School of Sports. General Kim Jong-il, son of North Korea's founder and the current head of state and party, is there in the foyer to greet us. Posters appeal to the students to follow the rules of the military, both in training and in everyday life. The message is repeated everywhere. We're expected. First, they proudly present the judo team to us. Some of the athletes here are expected to go on to win international championships. We're told one girl who studied here won an Olympic gold medal, an achievement 16-year-old Chin Sung-hee dreams of.
I saw our great sister Kei Sun-hee on television. After her victory, she met our kind Father General Kim Jong-il. That impressed me deeply. I want to train even harder and bring joy to our Father General. That's why I've made it through all this.
Table tennis is another focus of the academy. Director Kim Yong studied table tennis here. Today he runs the institute besides teaching the sport. For good reason. His portrait has a prominent place on the victory wall. He was a top contender at national championships more than 20 years ago. Since then, many more have followed in his footsteps. We want to learn more about the selection process for up-and-coming athletes. As we interview Kim Yong, he writes down every question under the watchful eye of North Korea's founding father Kim Il-sung and his son Kim Jong-il.
Our sports academy is among the best in the country. We train young people starting at the age of 10, for instance, in judo. It's the same in all sports academies. The athletes go through a selection process. That's how athletes are selected for training as professionals. Perhaps some will even make it onto the national team.
Never forget the imperialist U.S. jackals, reads a poster outside the gymnasium, aimed to keep memories alive of the Korean War 60 years ago. All through training, the young athletes are constantly reminded of the struggle against their archenemy, the United States. The 10-year-old players on this school team develop their skill on the ball by training 6 times a week for 2.5 hours. The enthusiasm for football seems just as great here as anywhere else in the world.
I saw football on TV. It was so fantastic that I started playing.
Through our translator, we asked the boy who his favorite idol is.
I want to play like Pele. That's why I train so hard that I break out in sweat. After the coaching sessions, I train by myself.
Naming Pele as an idol is slightly unexpected. These boys have grown up in an internationally isolated country, with very little access to reports on international football. Information is controlled and censored. That's noticeable during the interviews we conduct. We ask the boys what chance the North Korean women have as they prepare to meet the USA in the group stage. One of our minders translates the question to the team captain like this.
I want you to say that there is absolutely no doubt our team will beat the US at the World Cup in Germany.
And that's the answer he gives.
I hope our women's team beats the USA and holds the flag of our republic high in the world.
The director shows us around the academy grounds. Many of the youngsters live in nearby housing developments. We want to know if it would be possible to accompany one of the students home to get a feel for their private life. But we are denied access to private apartments. A delivery of fresh spinach has arrived in front of the school. The older students are still sweating it out on the weights. The Moranbong Academy gets preferential treatment from the state, so it can provide the system with successful athletes despite food shortages elsewhere. That's according to Director Kim Yong.
Even in difficult situations like the current problems with food, the party takes care of us. Things are bad everywhere. But with projects for the future, especially the development of young athletes, for the nation's honor and advancement of youth, the state is generous.
Close to the school we've been shown, there is little sign that food's in short supply. This is a state fruit shop. Food is rationed in North Korea. People rely on food coupons to get what they need. But it seems that the available supplies are not reaching all of North Korea's 24 million people. From our car, we often see food shops with completely empty shelves. But we're not allowed to stop and take pictures. Our minders don't want us to record people like these, who obviously don't belong to the privileged class. But we are allowed to tape this. Kim Il-sung Stadium at 10 o'clock on Sunday morning. North Korea's first division. Pyongyang is playing Lokomotiv Shiniju from the northwest of the country. 3,000 fans have come. There's room for 70,000. 11 teams play in North Korea's Premier League. The fans don't act like the ones in other countries do. There are no flags or chants or scarves. But one badge can be seen everywhere: the dead President Kim Il-sung. Every North Korean adult has to wear one. We'd like to ask the crowd what they enjoy about going to the matches on a regular basis, but we aren't allowed to pose any spontaneous questions. We have to wait until interview partners are chosen for us.
On my days off, I enjoy and love sports. When international matches take place in the Kim Il-sung Stadium, I drop everything and hurry over here. It's a habit. I often spend the entire day with football or other sports. My brother is a football player and my whole family loves the sport. I played it too when I was a youngster, but I wear glasses now and had to quit. But I still enjoy watching it. I always hope that the players do well. I really enjoy being a spectator.
Sunday is the only day of the week when North Koreans don't go to work. The authorities have placed severe restrictions on the private use of cars. Most people are banned from driving on Sundays. Fuel is in short supply. But our driver has a permit. We're practically the only car on the road. So there are no delays as we head along the tourist route to an area in the suburbs that's full of sport complexes. North Korea's elite sports centers are all clustered here. Each building is dedicated to one sport. There are facilities for swimming, basketball, boxing, shooting, table tennis, badminton, and weightlifting. Our bus stops in front of the Taekwondo Hall. The athletes are playing a friendly game of football to warm up. Next door, we chance across the national archery team, practicing in a parking lot for the World Championships. Kwon Un-sil was fourth at the Beijing Olympics 3 years ago. The archers don't have the training grounds to themselves. There are military personnel on and around the site, like everywhere in the city. And taking pictures of soldiers is strictly forbidden. These images, taken with a hidden camera, show rehearsals for military parades next to the handball center. We wouldn't have been permitted to record scenes like this. The next day, traffic is flowing again in Pyongyang. We're in the city center. Our minders are keen to point out that the city planners put a high emphasis on access for the general population to sports facilities. But you have to take a couple of steps back to read the script on the side of this massive building. The spirit of the great leader Kim Il-sung is always with us. We are told that the electronic shooting gallery is one of the favorites at this sports center. Virtual duck hunting. It's impossible to count the number of consoles. Entertainment for young and old alike. For Western gamers, these are little more than relics. Jong-un is the director of the Pyongyang Sports Complex. He takes some time to show us around. He's especially proud of the video game area.
We have electronic marksmanship games for young people, more than 500 of those type alone, but we have a wide variety of games for free time activities. People love the sports complex. It's a place for competition, for health, and for the people to have a good time.
We notice some basketball hoops in a walled-off facility. It's a game invented in the homeland of the foremost enemy, the USA. The sport is wildly popular here. But we aren't shown the kind of sports complexes we were expecting. Badminton nets are stretched out on terraces. Over 100 ping-pong tables stand in hallways.
Sunday is our busiest day of the week. That's a day of rest in our country. On other days, workers and young people come here after the day is done. About 10,000 people visit every day.
But we count only a few hundred on this day. Many are playing board games. Director Jong-un insists on showing us the indoor stadium, complete with light show and music. He tells us that party conventions take place here with as many as 20,000 participants, and with Kim Jong-il present. So this is not really a sports center. We are told that amateur sports people aren't allowed inside. They are shunted to the stairwell. We aren't allowed to speak with them. Personal contact is forbidden, just like everywhere else in the city. Our minders have organized a trip for us on the Underground Railway. Representatives of the North Korean Sports Ministry are expecting us. Just after we enter the station, a man we don't know sends children away who were standing close by. They obviously don't want us to speak to anyone. Security personnel keep a close watch, with good reason. North Koreans face punishment if they make contact with foreigners. The consequences can be harsh. Time in a forced labor camp, for instance. Human rights organizations say some 200,000 North Koreans are imprisoned under inhuman conditions. There are reports of torture and executions. We've arrived at the lowest level of one of the world's deepest subway systems. This station is called Resurgence. All stations have names harkening back to the revolution. The first president, Kim Il-sung, is worshipped as the spiritual father of modern North Korea. The propaganda reaches as far as 100 meters beneath the surface. Residents here have little idea what's happening in the rest of the world. North Korea is the only country in the world with no access to the internet. There are no independent newspapers. Watching or listening to foreign broadcasters is considered treason. International phone calls are virtually impossible. As foreigners, we're only allowed to ride one stop. These trains served West Berliners before they were sold to Pyongyang in the 1990s. Our journey ends at Radiant Light Stadium. We're told the North Korean Sports Ministry is close by, and that we can see a bit of sports on the way there. Rhythmic gymnastics, one of the most familiar images from North Korea. The citizens of Pyongyang are practicing for a mass event at the Rungrado May Day Stadium, the biggest in the world. It's to mark the annual Ararang Festival, named after a traditional song. It involves more than 100,000 people. The festival includes children. The state has big plans for them. They're part of overall plans to catch up internationally through sports. The Ministry of Sports and Physical Culture lays out annual goals in keeping with the planned economy. Ri Hung-won explains how North Korea intends to reach the top. Because it's such an important issue for him, he insists that the interview take place in a suitably representative setting.
In our country, we are concentrating on those sports where we have a good chance of winning and that suit our physical constitution. Sports useful for the defense of the country, like shooting, are also seen as promising. Soccer, gymnastics, ball games and combat sports like wrestling and boxing also have a lot of support.
He goes on to tell us that this concept of sports promotion is applied throughout the educational system, but that we should go and see for ourselves. Outside, the practice session for the big festival is over. The children are allowed to go home. The next day, we're taken to a primary school. First, we have to wait outside while our handlers take a cigarette break. Apparently, they're not quite ready for our visit. Finally, we're allowed inside. The slogan on the wall of the gymnasium reads, "Let us learn for Korea." We're told that North Korean schools are specialized right from the start. At this school, the emphasis is on music and sports. The children have 4 hours of lessons in the morning. During the afternoon, the teaching is focused on the special subjects. It may be 3 hours of coaching, like this dry training for the swimming group. Talent scouts come to schools like these to find children with potential. The ones they choose have a good chance of attending elite sports schools later. 8-year-old Ham Soo-yu, for example. She's been playing table tennis for a year and a half. The school is proud of this promising young talent. School director Kil Kum-suk tells us that even in normal primary schools, only the most talented pupils are accepted for the specialty classes.
If the pupils want to learn table tennis, the teachers assess their talent. If the teachers agree, they're allowed to train. The child's wishes are respected, but we judge by ability and talent.
The pupils of this sports and music-oriented primary school are brought together again after the interview. They want to give us an appropriate send-off. We are singing for our school, say the lyrics. Night is falling over Pyongyang. Places important to the state and the party are always lit brightly, despite the power shortfalls. There are rolling blackouts every night. A city of millions is left almost completely in the dark. People have to rely on batteries for light. There's no shortage of electricity on the 42nd floor of our hotel. We notice that we haven't seen any other guests on this floor. Only our minders have their rooms here, always close by. Foreigners living in Pyongyang tell us that living quarters are bugged. We can only guess what these cables are for. The next morning, within view of our hotel, this is Yanggakdo Stadium. We're taken to see the venue where North Korean men and women's teams play many of their home matches. We're told with absolute conviction that North Korean teams are almost unbeatable in the stadium, with 426 victories from 428 matches played here. Despite the advertisement, the FIFA web page is unavailable in North Korea. But there are plans to modernize the stadium fully to match the standards demanded by FIFA. A VIP room has been set up for high-ranking FIFA officials. And we're told they would have liked to show us the new doping control room, but the doctor who works here is on his lunch break. The stadium is prepared for crowds of foreign sports reporters. Preferably, they'll tell the world about North Korea's victorious footballers, especially the women who came to this stadium to get in shape for the World Cup in Germany.
The group with our team is called the Group of Death. It has strong teams from the US, Sweden and Colombia. But I think we're well prepared for our opponents ideologically, mentally, physically and technically. Our team will be among the best. That'll bring great joy to the people and the great general. I trust our players to meet the expectations of our people.
Dresden, Germany, late June, the Women's World Cup. North Korea's national team takes the field against the USA. The official FIFA greeting will be the only personal contact between the two sides. The glorious victory prognosticated back home is not to be. America wins 2-0. A few days later, North Korea loses to Sweden 1-0. The goals set by Pyongyang have not been achieved. North Korea is effectively out of the competition, even before the final group match against Colombia that ends in a 0-0 draw. Bochum, Germany, July 6th. The match against Colombia has just finished. We've come to ask what reactions the early exit from the competition could provoke back home. What we don't know is that 15 minutes before time, FIFA informed the head coach that the entire team would be subjected to doping tests. The broad testing is a first in the world of international football. A FIFA doping control officer turns up outside the team entrance. We've now been told that 2 players tested positive in earlier matches and were suspended. This time, all the remaining players are tested, and the process takes until deep into the night. The last sample is taken at 2:30 a.m. The police escort the players back to their hotel. No one has had any sleep. The journey home starts at 3:30. We try to get an interview one last time and hope to ask the coach what consequences the doping suspicions could have for him and his players back home. We ask the interpreter, who speaks fluent English.
What do you mean by track test?
A track test?
I don't understand.
Doping test?
She says she doesn't know what a doping test is. Hardly anyone says a word as they leave. Only the president of the North Korean Football Association has something to say to Coach Kim Kwang-min. Before sunrise, the team sets off towards the airport, on their way back to North Korea. In Pyongyang, there'll be no need to make space for medals or trophies from this World Cup in Germany. Kim Jong-il is celebrated as a great friend of sports and the father of North Korea's sporting successes. Is he also the father of its sporting failures? During our visit, we asked if we might be able to talk about that with the great friend of sports. Our minder told us, "Our great general is like God, and God doesn't give interviews."